Okay, please let me know when you're able to see it.
Okay. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, first of all, let's understand what is DAX really. And actually, it's a kind of zero to hero training. So I
Mhm.
will be talking about different aspects of DAX over here. I will be talking about data model, the relationships, what are relationships, and different kinds of relationship, how you are creating models, and all those things basically in this particular class. And I'll let you know how the filtering flows from one table to another. So let's start it. First is the introduction to DAX. So
Mhm.
basically, DAX stands for Data Analysis Expression, which I had told you in the last class. So it's a programming language in Microsoft Power BI, Microsoft Analysis Services, and Microsoft Power Pivot for Excel, right? So
Mhm.
it was actually created in 2010. So actually, in 2010, a version of Microsoft Excel 2010 was released. And in that version only, this thing Power Pivot was released. And it came with Power Pivot in 2010, but it was not that popular during that time because again it was the first release. So in 2013 only, it actually started gaining popularity in Excel community and with business intelligence community actually.
Mhm.
And in 2013 only, when this was released again, Microsoft Excel, newest version of Microsoft Excel was released in 2013. So at that time only, there was a space which was introduced in Power Pivot. So it was then called as Power, then Space Pivot. So this is what we talk about today. Like we talk about Power Pivot models in Excel. These DAX models and data models are created in Power Pivot only. So
Mhm.
they are all Power Pivot models. So it's very famous with Excel community actually.
Mhm. Okay.
Now, after this, let's talk about data models today. Again, it is very important. So without understanding data models, we won't be able to go forward. So this is a necessity. This becomes a necessity. So data model is basically a set of tables which are linked by relationships. So sometimes we have to create report with just one table, but again that is not always the case because in BI world, in business intelligence world, we have to actually work with many tables, and often one table is having a relationship with other table. So one table belongs to customer, one table belongs to product, in one table transactions are going on. So all these things are going on, right? So I mean uh, that's why data modeling becomes important. Creating great data models become important. So,
Mhm.
uh, what is a table? A table is basically a set of rows containing data with each row divided into columns, right? This is a very, I mean, simple definition. And every column is having a different data type, and every column contains a single piece of information. So again, a date column will be containing the date of the transactions, or the product name will be containing names of different products. So it's in that way. Row is referred to as record. Also, a table in itself is a data model only, but it is in its simplest form. So a data model can be comprising of more than one table. When a data model contains many tables, they are likely to be linked by means of relationships. So whenever we are talking about data model, then obviously how those different tables are actually related. They are related by means of relationships only. And a relationship is basically a link between two tables. So in the last class, we just learned this. Now in this particular class, we will be creating all those models in Power BI itself. So when two tables are linked by means of a relationship, we say that they are actually related.
Mhm.
Now, graphically, a relationship is represented by a line between two tables. So for example, if I come over here, like we can see that uh, this is actually the model view of Power BI. This is actually a model view of Power BI. And
Mhm.
in this particular model, we can see that there are 5 tables over here, 5 different tables. One is
Mhm.
actually the fact table, and the other four are actually dimension tables, right? So now you can see that there is a link between this dim date and fact sales, right? So now what this link is trying to tell me, in if I closely study this link, if I hover over this particular link just a sec, I can see that the relationship is created between two tables by means of the date key,
Mhm.
and dim date is on the one side and fact sales is on the many side. And there is this arrow over here, this arrow. But this arrow is trying to tell me is that uh, dim date is able to filter fact sales table. Any column in dim date is able to filter fact sales table, right? So this is a unidirectional relationship. This becomes a unidirectional relationship. Why? Because in this particular case, only dim date is able to filter fact sales, but fact sales won't be able to do so. Fact sales won't be able to filter dim date over here, right? Why? Because I can see that in this particular case, the arrow is in this direction. The arrow flows from dim date to fact sales. So in Power BI world, or in any kind of data modeling world, you will be coming across various tables. So in that particular case, you will have to study the data model. You will have to closely study the data model, and you will have to study how how different relationships are existing between different tables, and what is the flow of filtering like. So that's the case. So now I can say that because this arrow, there is just one arrow, and this is from this from dim date to fact sales, but vice versa is not there. So fact sales won't be able to filter dimension date.
So,
Now
Jyoti, what does this exactly mean? What do you mean by filter? That fact
filter.
sales cannot filter dim date. So, what does that
So
exactly mean?
yes, yes. So suppose that I have this dim date over here. I
Mhm.
have calendar year over here. I want to know that what is the sales amount by calendar year, right? In different calendar years in 2008, 9, 10, 11, what was the sales amount, right?
Mhm.
So I can choose a column from calendar year from here, and I can choose sales amount from fact sales. And
Mhm.
because the filter is existing from dim date to fact sales, so any column from dim date will be able to filter this the rows of this particular table, fact sales table, and it will be able to give me the value of sales amount corresponding to each of the year. How? Because this table is able to filter this table. If I want to know the exact sales amount, so I am going to report view for now, and
Mhm.
I will just tell you from here itself, right? So if I actually, just a sec, I'm expanding this so that you can see clearly. So these are the columns associated with dim date, right? These all are the columns associated with dim date. I am bringing calendar year for now over here, right? And I am, for this particular class, I am actually using this visual, that is table visual. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to fact sales over here, and I'm going to pick up this particular column over here. Though I am picking a column over here, the sales amount, it's actually a numerical column. Later down in the future, you will study that usage of column is not preferred. Usually we create measures in order to depict these numbers, but that will be later. So
Okay.
now you can see that over here, there are different values of sales amount corresponding to different calendar years, right? You have for something, I can't read this, around 4 crores rupees corresponding to 2000, 4 crores, 11 lakhs corresponding to 2008, and etc. etc. So you can see that uh, different values of calendar years are having different values of sales amount, and different values of calendar year is able to filter this fact sales table, right? So what is going on exactly? I can see that I have a link between DIMS date and fact sales, and there is a key column, that is date key column, which is existing in both of these two tables, in fact sales as well as in dim date. So what is happening is that in case of 2007, in case of 2007, calendar year 2007. So this, since this relationship existing between these two tables, so what this is going to do is this 2007 will be talking to this particular table. So it will be saying, okay, I want all the rows which are corresponding to 2007 year. Okay, so now fact sales, because this will be so this relationship will be acting between them, and all the rows associated with the date keys corresponding to year 2007 will come into picture. And then in all those rows which are associated with this particular year 2007, the sales amount will get summed up. And that is how I am having these different values. I am having this value corresponding to year 2007. The same happens for 2008, 2000, and 2009, and with the total also. But now you can see that I have this particular thing over here. Now suppose I have another case over here. I am picking up any column of fact sales. Suppose I am picking product key over here. Now, and now I am picking any column from this dim date. Let's say calendar year itself, right? So can you see now? Oh no, sorry, just a sec again. Now, I'm having picking down summarize over here. Just a sec. Uh, let's pick up another column. Actually, this product key. Is there any other column so that I can explain it to you better? Just a sec. Let's pick up sales amount. No. Maybe something like return amount or promotion key or currency key. Let's pick up product key for now. And yeah, and from dim date, let's pick up date description over here. But let's pick up maybe a count of date descriptions. So yeah, okay. Now can you see that this product key was a column of fact sales table. This product key was a column from fact sales, and this date description was a column of dim date over here, right? But you can see that a column from fact sales table is not able to filter the date description. And I am having the same values for all the product keys, right? So
Mhm.
this date description, if I actually bring date description over here, and if I actually uh, produce a count of date description, then it is the actually total number
Mhm.
of dates which are existing in dim date table, which are 2556 in number.
Okay.
So I wanted to see which product keys. I wanted to see that the product corresponding to product key one was sold in which number of dates, right? So I wanted to see that particular thing, but I am not able to see that particular thing over here. Why? Because of this relationship. Because any column, the direction of filter is not from fact sales to dim date. The direction of filter is from dim date to fact sales. So I can use any column in dim date to filter the fact sales table, but I won't be able to use any column from fact sales in order to filter dim date.
Okay.
Because if I try to do so, I will be having such a visual. So
Yeah, Jyoti, we selected count of date description, but when we were not doing that, then we were getting the dates, right? So
okay,
what does that mean?
yeah, I can just show it to you once again. It was not actually that thing. I did this in order to avoid confusion, but I can
Mhm.
bring it over here for you once again. If I
Mhm.
click on don't summarize over here, you can see
Mhm.
that corresponding to product key one, I am having
Mhm.
2007, 2008, 2009. Corresponding
Okay.
to product key two also, I am able to see 2007, 2008, 2009. Corresponding to product three also, I can see 2007, 8, 9. Four also, I
Okay.
can see all of them. So it is
Mhm.
producing the same result for each of the product key. For
Okay.
each of the product key, it is producing the same results again, even if I am not summarizing it. I am
Okay.
not using any aggregator function on this
Okay.
calendar year. And
Mm-hmm.
I am just using it as it is, and it is producing such kind of result in front of me. But it's not possible. So if I change the filter direction for you, suppose, then the result will get changed.
Okay.
If suppose I I change the cross filter direction to both.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can see this arrow direction got changed. This is a bi-directional relationship now. Now,
Okay.
dim date is able to filter fact sales, and also fact sales is able to filter dim date, right?
Okay.
Both of
Yeah.
these things are true. Now, if I go over here, and if I see this particular result over here, like just a sec, this will get changed. So I will remove calendar year for now. I will again pick this date description over here, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
we can see the clear result. Can you see it that the numbers have got changed now?
Mm-hmm.
Now I can use any column corresponding to fact sales table in order to filter the dim date. Now I can see that for the product which is having product key as one, so total of the product corresponding to product key one got sold on 829 days.
Okay.
The product corresponding to product key two got sold. Oh no, yaar. Hello, 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 hello.
Yeah. So your screen froze actually.
Yeah, actually, I had a power cut over here. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So now, because now the results are coming out to be different, because now what is going on currently is that uh, what is happening is that if I talk about product key one, for instance, if I talk about product key one, so what is going to happen is it is going to collect fact sales is going to collect first of all the rows corresponding to product key one.
Mm-hmm.
Then it is going to activate the relationship between fact sales and dim date. So the relationship is actually existing between date keys, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
all the rows corresponding to this product key one, say, will become grouped together. Now the date keys corresponding to the product key one in fact sales table will be having a relationship now with dim date. Why? Because we are actually having the relationship between two tables by means of this date key only, by means of this date key only. And then
Okay.
they will be fetching all the rows which correspond to those particular date keys. And that is how I am able to see the days on which the product corresponding to product key one got sold.
Okay.
So this all becomes a part of filtering. What happens is that any relationship which you have created between different
Mm-hmm.
tables, they act in a way so that one table is actually able to interact with other table, right? One table is able to interact with other table, and while interacting only, they are actually able to filter. I mean, there is like in the last class we learned something about filter context. We discussed filter context for some amount of time, and there only
Right.
we just saw that these relationship, they actually act like a filter only. So one thing is able to filter the other thing. So what happens is that if I talk about, say, I am just going to open Excel for now so that I
Mm-hmm.
can explain it to you better. Just a sec. So say there are like different dates over here or different years over here. Like this is the dimension table, right? And dimension table is having different years over here, right? And
Mm-hmm.
all of these years are unique because that's how dimension tables are. Now over here I have some information. This is another table, and I can see that on calendar year, and this is the transaction related information, product sold, sales amount, suppose, right? Now for different calendar years I have different information. uh, I am creating this table. Please bear with me. Now, the products sold for this was 14. Any arbitrary number, I am going to give it. Um, okay. Now the sales amount is going to be, say, 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 100, 2,300, and something like this, actually. Whatever, I mean, um now suppose this is the dim date table. right? And this is actually the fact sales table, right? And corresponding to these calendar years, suppose there is a date also, date key also existing between them, and the same thing, kind of date key is existing between them, right? Now, this, if I want to filter, if I'm using this column from dim date in order to fetch the sum of sales amount, I want to know that what in different years, what was the sum of sales amount for me? Like how did my company do? How much amount did my products make in different years? Then I have 2000 over here, right? I have 2001 also over here, and 3 and also 4 also. So I have all these over here. So suppose for 2000, what is going to happen is that there is a date key corresponding to 2000, right? There are different date keys corresponding to them. They are going to act on this particular table. They are going to act as filter on this particular table. And what happens is that during this, because of a relationship which is existing between them, it is going to actually pull all rows corresponding to year 2007, all rows corresponding to year 2000. So these three rows are there which correspond to year 2000. So now it is going to fetch the sum of sales amount for the highlighted rows, which are obviously 5100. And while calculating this for 2001, now it is going to fetch all the rows which are having date key corresponding to 2001, right? So these are the date keys corresponding to 2001, right? And these become the rows corresponding to them. So now it is going to calculate the sum of this actually, right? And the same goes for 2002, same goes for year 2003 also. So this is how the filter context flows from one table to another. Now, when there was just one direction which was existing between these two tables, dim date was able to pass the filter context from itself to fact sales, but fact sales was not able to do so. But once we made the direction as bi-direction, or we just set this cross filter direction over here to both, then the filter was able to propagate from both tables to both tables, right? So for now, I'm again going to choose it to single. So now you can see I again get the same result, right? Which is 255. Yeah. So let's come to notes for now. So two tables in a relationship do not have the same role. Again, we just saw they are called the one side and the many side of the relationship, right? One side is represented by one and many side is represented by this star, which we had seen over here, right? In one side, each row, the data corresponding to each row is unique. So the key corresponding to different rows is actually unique. But in fact sales, that is not the case, or in many side that is not the case, because on one single day only I could be having many transactions. So I would be having many rows corresponding to a single date key, right? So that is why it is on the many side, and the many side is represented by a star. Now, some kinds of relationship are one to one and weak relationships also. Now, in BI world, we have seen that we have these kind of relationship. Very frequently we have one to many relationship or many to one relationship only between two tables, but sometimes we may be having one to one relationship and weak relationships also. In one to one
Mhm.
relationship, what happens is that both tables are on the one side. Both tables are on the one side, right?
Mhm.
So if there is a relationship, like one table is corresponding to, say, the client address. One table corresponds to a client address. It is having two columns. One is the customer key or the client key, or the
Mhm.
client ID, and the second column is actually the address or the phone number of that client. But there is another table which contains the salary related information of that client. So
Mhm.
in the second table, there may be one column of customer ID, and the other
Mhm.
columns correspond to the salary information, or what is the loan on that particular loan amount on that customer, what is the credit balance for that particular customer. So uh, again, it will be like both of them are having just one row corresponding to one client, right? One row
So,
corresponding to one client. But
so basically, these where there is one-to-one relationship, so basically there are two-dimensional tables, right? And there's no fact table then,
Uh,
or
you can say so. Yeah, that's not a fact thing. Yeah, you can say so. Or we can say it's not actually dimension or fact which is coming into picture in this case.
okay.
It is a separate kind of thing which is existing between them. So I mean, it can be like one at one level, one table. Suppose you are eligible to see one information. You work in a department where you are eligible, or you are actually allowed to see the contact information or the personal information of your client, but you
Mhm.
are not a part of finance department, so you are not able to see the salary details of that particular client, or
Mhm.
that particular employee. Let's leave client, let's talk about employee, right? You are
Okay.
not able to see the salary related or financial information corresponding to that particular employee, but I am working in the finance department, and I am
Mhm.
able to see those details of that particular employee. So
Okay.
sometimes what happens is that different teams are entitled to see different kind of data, and
Mhm.
it's but when a report has to be made, suppose the CEO wants to see a report, to have a report
Mhm.
in front of him or her, where he or she wants to see uh, the personal information, phone number, address, and also the finance related information of that particular person, of that particular employee, or of every employee in working in his or her organization. Then
Mhm.
CEO is eligible to see everything. Still, you and I are
Mhm.
not able to do so, but he is the
Mhm.
person who is able to see. So he will not, the security filter for him or her is not there, is not acting. So in this particular
Mhm.
case, obviously, there is a relationship which is existing between both of these two tables, and by means of that particular relationship, I will be able, or not I, someone from the data analytics team will be able to produce a report for the CEO, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I want to see. So just to make it clear, so it's like, suppose this is the employee ID 2345, and this is the name, right? And whatever be the name, I mean,
Mhm.
suppose I'm just
Yeah.
doing it arbitrary. And
Yeah.
then over here, there's a phone number,
Mhm.
right? And whatever be the phone number, I mean,
Mhm.
so, and there's address column also. And there is this another table, which is again employee ID. and the
Mhm.
salary and the credit balance and etc etc. So again 1 2 3 4 5, and the salary can be any number, I mean any number, right? Just leave it. So now if I want to produce a report, then obviously I want to actually use both of these two tables. So I maybe I want to create a join between these two, maybe inner join, and bring all the columns of this particular table to
Mhm.
this particular table, so that I can
Mhm.
produce a report. Or so whatever, I can do whatever, or I don't have to do anything. I just
Mhm.
go on picking the columns of this table and start picking the columns of this table also, and click on don't summarize. So I will be able to produce that kind of report also, right? So
Mhm.
uh, I mean these kind of tables also exist, but what happens is that if this security thing is not there, and if you are working in a department where you are able to see both of these two tables, right, and you know that both of these two tables are related to employee only, and there is one row dedicated to one employee, then what is recommended is not to have these two tables as separate tables, and have just one table which has every information of that particular employee, right? One to one relationships, though they are strong relationships, but they are not recommended. One to one relationships, because what's the use of having two different tables when you can just have all the columns in only one table, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
yeah, so I just covered a scenario where that was required, but not in all the cases that is required. If I talk
Mhm.
about weak relationships, then weak relationships are actually existing when both tables between which a weak relationship is existing uh, are on the many side. Like,
Mhm.
for example, customer and account. So one customer can have many account, right? And one
Mhm.
account may be linked to many customer. So it's like a joint account. A joint account can be owned by two different customers, right? Like
Mhm.
you are a customer. You may be having two account, one corresponding to your salary account, the other corresponding to a joint account, or any other account. Uh,
Mhm.
and now there is one account under your name, and that is being owned by your husband also, right?
Mhm.
Not your salary account, but a joint account. So in this particular case, what is going on? So one customer, uh, one customer is having two or three different accounts. One account is actually related to more one or more than one customer. So this kind of relationship is called as many to many relationship, and they
Mhm.
are often called as weak relationships also, right?
Okay.
Yeah. The columns which are used to create relationships between two tables are called as the key columns of the relationship, which I just told you. On the one side of the relationship, the column needs to have unique values for each row, and it cannot contain blanks. This is a really important, that the column on the one
Mhm.
side of the relationship, uh, which is acting as a key column, for the
Mhm.
relationship, should not contain any blank value, and it should have unique values. It should not be having any duplicated value. So if employee id is a column, I should not be having any other row corresponding to employee id 1 over here,
Mhm.
or I should not be having any value which is blank, like there is information over here, but
Mhm.
the id is blank. This
Mhm.
case should also not be there for any column to act as a key column for the relationship.
Okay.
In the many side of the relationship, the same value in the key is repeated for many rows, which I just told you, that if date key is a key column for a relationship, then in the fact sales table, there may be many transactions corresponding to one single day. And in that particular case, obviously date key would be repeated.
Mm-hmm.
When a column has unique value for each row, it is called key of the table. Uh, so it's like over here we are talking about keys, and in actually SQL also, if we are talking about two different tables, then there is one table which is having primary key, and one column which is called as kind of foreign key, and all those things is there. So
I,
yeah,
yeah.
relationships can form a chain. Relationships can form, now this is very important, which I'm just going to explain it to you. For
Mm-hmm.
example, one product category has many subcategory, and one product subcategory can have many products. Let's go to model view. Now over here you can see that I have many tables over here. One is
Mm-hmm.
dim product category, the other one is dim product subcategory, the third one is dim product itself, and the fourth one is fact sales. Now what happens is that if I hover over this link, this line which is existing between product category and product subcategory, I can see that dim product category is on the one side of the relationship, and dim product subcategory is on the many side of the relationship, right? And the key column is actually product category key. Now what happens is that it contains the product category information. Dim
Mm-hmm.
product category contains the product category information. Now
Mm-hmm.
in normal world, uh, one particular product category can have many product subcategories, right? One
Mm-hmm.
product category may be having many product subcategory, and this is a column of the level of granularity over here is actually product subcategory. So obviously, though the product subcategories are unique for this particular table, but
Mm-hmm.
there are many product subcategories which correspond to just single product category, right? So that is
Right.
I mean, that is why this may be containing uh, many product keys. So many product subcategories may be containing just one product category, and therefore they must be having one product category key only. That is why this is on the many side of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Now if I talk about this, if I talk about, say, just a sec, where is it, this, then I can see that one to many relationship is existing between dim product subcategory and dim product table. Now,
Mm-hmm.
one product subcategory may be having many products, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if I talk about fruits, say, the suppose product category is actually eatables. You can say um, kitchen something or something like that. It may be having something like the product subcategory is going to be fruits, vegetables, etc., etc. Now the product subcategory fruits will be having different kinds of fruits: apple, banana, and mangoes. So they become product, right? Apple is a product, for example. I'm just talking from an e-commerce point of view, and therefore Apple is a product, banana becomes a product in their eyes, and mango becomes a product. So one category is having many products, and therefore uh, there is a star corresponding to dim product and one side corresponding to dim product subcategory. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if I talk about fact sales, then there may be many transactions corresponding to one single product. One single product, there can be many transactions. So that is how uh, this star is existing in case of fact sales. But in case of dim product, I will be having just one row corresponding to one product. So that is why this is on the one side of the relationship. So
Okay.
that this in this way the relationship is forming a chain. So if I use any column of product category, suppose I use product category name, then what happens, and I use this column, like I want to see the sales amount column of fact sales, then what is going to happen? One 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 product category name is going to have one key corresponding to that. Then it is the filter is going to propagate to product subcategory, then it is going to propagate to dim product, then it is going to propagate to fact sales, and then only it will be able to fetch the sales amount corresponding to that particular key for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is how the relationship is forming a chain, and this is how the filtering is going to form a chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
In
Okay.
each relationship, one or two arrows can determine the direction of the relationship or the cross filter direction, which I just told you. It
Mm-hmm.
determines the direction of automatic filter application. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So usage of bidirectional filters should be discouraged. So yeah, this is important. Fine that I just applied the cross filter direction to both in order to explain this to you. But in real world scenarios, uh, both direction is rarely used. When we talk
Okay.
about big data models, then both direction actually produces ambiguity. It produces ambiguity, which I'm going to explain it to you tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be
Mm-hmm.
covering this ambiguity thing, how both cross filter direction can cause blunders in the report and can cause very faulty figures.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be discussed tomorrow for sure. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Now, understanding the direction of a relationship. Each relationship can have a unidirectional or bidirectional cross filter. Filtering
Mm-hmm.
always happens from one side to many side of the relationship, because always we this is a trend, or you can say this is a general practice, that we apply filter from one direction, from dimension table to fact table, right?
Mm-hmm.
In
Right.
the direction of the relationship, if the direction of the relationship is bidirectional, the filtering even happens from many side to one side, which we have talked about, right?
Yeah.
Now, in DAX, the concept of a cell and its coordinate doesn't exist. This is an important thing, because in Excel, we talk about cells, right? We talk about
Right.
rows and columns and all those things. We talk about cell. So
Mm-hmm.
if I want to refer to 4 over here, then I refer to C11, right? C11.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
in DAX, nothing like that exists, right? DAX
Mm-hmm.
only works on tables and columns. In DAX, you apply a function on
Mm-hmm.
a column of a table. So you are not going to refer to any particular cell, any particular row, or any particular column in a way so that you can actually pull out a cell. No,
Mm-hmm.
you can't do so in DAX. DAX expression refer to tables and columns only, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each column is prefixed with the name of the table it belongs to. Eh,
Mm-hmm.
in DAX, each column. So if I talk about, for example, this thing, Asia season of dim date, then how it is going to work? It will actually be working in this way. So when I want to refer to Asia season, then I have to actually refer in this way. Dim date, square bracket, Asia. season. So this is how you refer to any column in DAX, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is useful as DAX works on the data models that contain many tables. So what happens is that suppose you have two tables which are having two different columns, obviously, but the names of those two columns are the same. For example, Asia season is existing in dim date also, and Asia season is existing, say, suppose in dim product also. Then
Okay.
name is the same, name becomes the same. Now you want a calculation corresponding to Asia season of dim date. If you
Uh-huh.
don't use the table name as a prefix, then ambiguity will arise, right?
Mhm.
Ambiguity will be there. So DAX will get confused which Asia season to choose. So the table name as a prefix actually saves us from that blunder, right?
Okay.
As a result, if two tables have one or more columns with the same names, then prefixing the column name with table name helps in identifying the right column from the right table, right?
Mm-hmm.
DAX is a functional language. It is made up of expressions that are basically functional calls. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, suppose I create a new column over here. So everything in DAX is a function. Everything is DAX is a function. So you can
Mm-hmm.
see that typing S, the IntelliSense of DAX is going to return different things for me, and all of them are actually functions, right? Same
Mm-hmm.
period last year is a function, sign is a function, switch is a function, sum is a function, summarize is a function. And if you say click on summarize, then you will be having the actually the definition of that particular function. So it's like it creates a summary, the input table grouped by specific columns, right? So now the first expression of this is actually table, the table name, then group by column name, name, expression, etc. So again,
Mm-hmm.
everything in DAX is a function. You can see if you scroll down, you will be seeing many, like many functions, the name of different functions over here. So
Mm-hmm.
this is important, right?
Okay.
It is made up of expressions that are basically functional calls. So it's like one function calling another function calling another function. So we will be talking about this when we will be creating DAX expressions in the future. So
Mm-hmm.
in DAX, everything is an expression, and every expression in DAX is a function call, right? So
Okay.
now we can talk about iterators in DAX.
Mm-hmm.
Iterators in DAX, what they do, they actually iterate over a table, and DAX performs the calculation on each row of the table, aggregating the result to produce a single value requested. Now,
Okay.
what iterators do? Iterators are, suppose that if I talk about this particular table over here,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know the sum of sales amount regardless of when it occurred, in which year it occurred. So
Uh-huh.
what the DAX iterator is going to do is, first of all, it is going to come to this row, this first row. What is the
Mm-hmm.
sales amount? It comes out to be 1,000. Now
Mm-hmm.
it goes, the cursor goes to the second row.
Mm-hmm.
What is the sales amount? 2,000. So now it is going to add 2,000 with 1,000. So what it becomes? 3,000. Now
Okay.
it goes to the third row and it is able to see 1,000. Now 3,000 plus 1,000, it becomes 4,000. So in this
Okay.
way, it is going to iterate on all the rows, over all the rows. And
Mm-hmm.
after iterating, it is going to fetch the sales amount, and then it is going to sum those sales amount in order to produce just one single result, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually the sum of all these numbers, right?
Right. Right.
which is this amount. So this is
Got it.
how iterators in DAX work. This is how iterators in DAX work. Now,
So basically, this is, the difference between sum and sum x. When we do sum, we just take the total,
yes,
and if we
yes,
do sum x, then it will iterate over each row.
iterate.
And
Yes, yes,
okay,
exactly. So uh,
got it.
this is very important. When we will be covering iterators, we will be covering a lot between sum and sum x also. There are
Okay,
few other things also between sum and sum x which we will be covering.
okay,
For now, we can say that sum x is basically an iterator, right? All the functions in DAX which have x as you can say kind of suffix. So
Mhm.
I mean sum x is there, average x is there, median x is there. All of them are basically iterators.